And good evening. Welcome to the Sports Desk. I am Paul on the ball, and what a great show we have this evening for you. Along here with me is the PRO, the Public Relations Officer of the BVI Horse Owners Association, Mr. Roy Barry. Good evening, Roy.
Good evening.
And along with me is, believe it or not, my main man, Roy Pickle Pickering. Hello, Roy.
It's glad to be here, Paul. You always drag me along wherever you go, so what can I say?
Well, good to have you, Roy, and good to have you, Pickle. You notice the distinction? We have Roy and we got Pickle, so there's no confusion here this evening with the guys. And we're here to talk horse racing, aren't we, Pickle?
Surely does. Surely does.
Absolutely. Well, let's get straight into it and let's talk a bit about horse racing in general, Roy. There's a lot over the years been happening in the BVI and horse racing. Of course, the name is now the Ellis Thomas Downs. Let's talk a bit about that. Where did the name come from and why was it called the Ellis Downs rather than Little as we knew it?
Yeah, well, you know, that question really supposed to be directed to Roy. But as a matter of fact, of course, you know, the track was upgraded and Mr. Ellis Thomas being an icon based on the present location of the racetrack itself. He was the last person in terms of transition from the previous areas. You hear about the school ground, you hear about this area and that area where horse racing, you kept Roy Road. So the Ellis Thomas Down is his final resting place, so to speak, and it was, you know, named after him, and I think rightfully so.
Roy, anything on that?
Well, I tend to agree with Mr. Pickering. It's more so in honor of Ellis Thomas, who, as we all know, has been the pioneer of horse racing for quite some time in the Seacoast area. And I think it was just fitting to name the track after him, especially since he donated some of his property to help to bring horse racing alive.
All right, let's have a look at the promotion of horse racing and where it's going to, Pickle. Through the years, there's been a lot of things. We have highs and lows of horse racing. Where would you say horse racing is now as far as, you know, people coming in and the hype and all that sort of stuff?
Well, you know, in the absence of legislation and a way forward, the Horse Owners Association has been basically what I would call a promoter, and rightfully so, for quite some time, until we come to grips with the requisite departments that really needs to run a racetrack in its proper form. The commission, a horse racing commission, an organization, and all that goes with horse racing in terms of having an overall picture as to where do we go from here. Those are the departments going to have to take it away forward. So, in my opinion, horse racing, the Horse Owners Association, of course, the horses has to, you know, they has to eat, and somebody has to feed them. So, rightfully so, the Horse Owners Association has been a promoter, if in my opinion. Roy, could you elaborate, you know, further as to, you know, because he being a PRO man, he has more insight than you and I.
I was just about to say the same thing, Roy. As Pico just said, as the PRO man, how do you see it coming from the inside?
Well, I can speak from being a member of the association as well as being a horse owner. Sure. And I see the Horse Owners Association as just a gap filler. We are just trying to promote races to keep the sport alive, one, and to enable the horse owners to be able to feed the horses. But like Mr. Pickering mentioned, for horse racing to actually move to another level, we'll actually need to have the legislation put in place. One, and you have a commission being formed, and they will be responsible for organization. They will be responsible for structure. And coming out of that, you'll then have parimutuel betting or racetrack gaming, as you will call it, which will then have horse racing much more attractive, and you'll have more owners coming in. Because as we see it right now, looking at the race schedule that we have before August Tuesday, we don't have that many local horses as we used to. It fluctuates some because with the economy moving up and down, and you're not sure if you're going to have races every month, it's difficult to own a horse.
So, Pico, you know, you say it's difficult to own a horse. Probably what I'd like Roy to probably tell us a bit is, for the average person doesn't really know much about horses as far as seeing them run. What does it cost the average horse owner per week or per day to keep a horse fit and in good running condition?
Well, it varies. There are some horse owners who definitely have to pay trainers, grooms, and plus buy purchase food. That could run them maybe $500 to $1,000 per week.
Per week?
To take care of a horse. For myself, my brother, relatives, and I, we do all of that ourselves. So to feed a horse, it probably run us maybe $200 to $300 every week.
That's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, to pick up $200 to $300 a week, you could buy a lot of food with that.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Roy, because him and his brother do it versus those guys who have to have a trainers, groom, and everything like that. Because on the national, in the national scene, it's there about the numbers that he spoke about. It would cost you to keep a horse, and that would, you know, and those are horses who are running whether every 2 weeks, monthly, in bigger races with bigger horses. So, you know, I was, you know, listening to Roy and trying to get a glean from him as to the cost, because, you know, all the horses, most of the horses, if not all of them, is imported horses, and, you know, we buy them out of the States or Puerto Rico nearby occasionally, but that's the standard figure with respect to the cost based on the question that you asked. And then additionally, what the Racing Commission see when it's the taxpayers' dollars, and somebody has to liaise between government and the operation.
Of course.
And this is where the Racing Commission is going to come in.
Right.
Also with the rules.
Now, who presently liaises with these guys now? Who is liaising? Is it the Horse Wholesale Association who's liaising with them?
I guess it would be the Horse Wholesale.
So that's a pretty difficult job for these guys. Are really between a rock and a hard place, in a matter of speaking, really. It's a tough job for them to have to deal directly with the government in a situation like this.
Well, it certainly will be. And this is the thing, because you got to understand now, this is about, what, 13 years now since we're down there.
I mean,
and the track is, you know, upgraded to some degree, but we basically, where we started is where we is.
Correct.
All that's been happening is the membership of the association between, you know, changing repeatedly.
Sure.
But if you look at it from our objective standpoint with respect to the running of the operation, we basically where we are when we got started.
I mean, from Roy, from his perspective, surely you would prefer just to have to deal with your horse and get on with the business of running a horse rather than have to deal with all this administrative side as well.
That is correct. But even if we do have a commission in place, we'll still have a horse owners association, but the responsibilities will be different.
Right.
Absolutely.
Very important point.
Yeah, exactly. That's so. I mean, you expect it to still have, as Roy says, a horse owners association, but that association won't have to deal with the kind of issue that they have to deal with presently.
The day-to-day operation of the running on the racetrack.
Correct.
And it's interesting at Royman because along with the Racing Commission, the organization, president, vice president, and on there, the horsemen have to have their own thing, their own association, as Roy spoke about.
Correct.
It's important, but it would be a number of association, and all of them would have their responsibility with the operation of the track with respect to the races.
Now, Pico, Roy mentioned one of our pep topics. I don't know if you heard when he said it. I know you're coming to. He mentioned pari-mutuels. So we love to talk about pari-mutuels. And of course, pari-mutuels mean we got to talk about the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
and our good friend St. Croix. We got to talk about St. Croix. I mean, what would horse race me if you don't talk about St. Croix?
Well, notably they're absent from this program.
Well, you know, we're going to come to the program a little later on.
But see, the one that we're speaking about, pari-mutuel,
yes.
I think that one have to have these organizations that we speak about.
Yes.
As up front. They have to be there even before we get to, because there's a lot of hurdles with respect to pari-mutuel. It's nice to say to pull it out of the cloud and talk about it. It's necessary. It's the organization, the pari-mutuel, that would drive everything.
Sure.
Okay? But it has to be properly done. You're going to call for, as we spoke about, legislation.
Sure.
But these organizations have to be in place to, especially the Racing Commission, to report to government.
Okay, barring all that, just for a little while, a little unfair, but we're gonna all the red tape. We're gonna miss that for a little while. Roy, barring all the red tape, if there were pari-mutuels here, how much easier would that make it for the Horse Owners Association?
Well, first and foremost, you will have bigger purses. You'll be more attractive. You'll then have more horse owners involved in the horse racing industry. Then we'll have probably tourists coming to the racetrack, thus creating a larger fan base.
Absolutely.
Because we have quite a bit of tourists coming to the track, and when they ask for if we have pari-mutuel betting, and they said no, they just walk back out.
Is that so?
That is correct.
Wow.
So that will grow the sport somewhat. Then we'll be able to attract maybe horses from St. Croix, which one of their points for not coming is cost, another is the size of the track.
Okay.
But if we incorporate all this proper structure, then we probably can increase the size of our track, thus inviting St. Croix along with St. Thomas, which will make it more competitive. And horse racing will become probably your #1 sport in the BVI.
And at the end of the day, we're talking about sports tourism and being able to generate some money, into the economy. I mean, we're talking about the economy being tough right now, so we got to start looking at ways, looking out of the box. And this isn't even really out of the box, to be honest with you, but ways of generating more income. And horse racing, as the PRO just said, is one of the big ways. Pico.
Well, I don't know who's responsible for putting out these figures, but when expectation was on top, we generate a lot of revenue indirectly. We don't get the figures from who's supposed to put them out, but we could get a gauge. Because think about 4 or 5 ferry boats going between St. Thomas and the BVI for that day. Think about the rental cars, the hotels. People are here from the weekend leading up to the big day.
That's correct.
With all the talking and the trash talking, as we like to say. It generates a lot of revenue. And that's without pari-mutuel. So add pari-mutuel to that, you could understand the kind of revenue that you would generate. Because, as Roy said, the key for new people is the purse structure. A lot of encouraging owners will come in. I think most of the owners that are doing it now, they do it from the sports standpoint. And even some who don't really care about the purse, they do it because of the sport, to keep it going. But additionally, we'll get additional owners once you got the pari-mutuel, and to say, well, look, I could generate a profit from my investment.
So, Pico, what you're telling me in retrospect is that the Horse Owners Association is a bit like the old West Indies team, and they just play it for the love of the sport.
Exactly. That's exactly what is happening.
Before we take a pause, I want to talk a bit about training and the training of the horses, because this is a part that people don't know about. I mean, I've seen the horses going to the beach to swim. I see these guys 4 o'clock in the morning. Roy, tell us a bit about that, about what does a horse trainer have to go through to get a horse ready for August Tuesday?
Well, that training of a horse is something that is very, very intense, labor intensive. Every morning I'm out of bed by 5 o'clock. I head out to the racetrack.
My goodness.
Once you get a horse ready for a race, he has to be on a track at least 5 days per week. He jogs, he gallops, whatever the case might be. On some days, you take him to the beach for a swim.
Wow.
You have to make sure he gets his bath every day, and he's walked until he's dried. Or sometimes you might walk him around the track, maybe 3 or 4 laps.
Right.
But you have to make sure his feed is set. It has all the vitamins and nutriments included in his food. The water is changed twice per day. And the feeding is done twice per day.
Right.
And you have to make sure you put your electrolytes in the water also.
Wow.
And there's also now the medication, which is other medication. One shipment of medication could run you sometimes 2,000 to 3,000 hours.
2 to 3 what?
1,000 hours.
My goodness. Pico, you hear that? I was going to get a horse. We changed our mind.
I said to sometimes somebody may walk up and ask about horse racing and they have an interest. I'll say to them, it's a very serious sport. If you don't have the money and the time, don't get involved.
Wow. Pico, you're going to make a point there.
Well, that's why I like pari-mutuel betting instead of the pari-mutuel rather than preparation.
But when we come back in the next section, we're going to have a look at the purses, and that's a question maybe we can just talk about quickly before we take the break. Would you say the medication is $3,000 alone? Are the purses high enough?
No, it's we're in the sport just for the love of it.
Jeez.
The only time you can actually see a profit is on an August Tuesday race. And unfortunately, my horse is not running.
So you get left out.
Oh, yeah. So you're definitely in the sport for the love of it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're here with the public relations officer of the BVI Horse Owners Association, Mr. Roy Barry. Along with him is my main man, Roy Pickering. We're going to take a pause for a cause to thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Come to Infinite Solutions, your home for Apple iPods and Apple iPads, 32 gig or 64 gig. Enjoy the apps, games, movies, books, and more. Check out our sale on Apple Nano iPods, Nikon Coolpix S3000, and a wide selection of Lenovo and HP notebooks. Check us first, Infinite Solutions. Technically speaking, no problem.
And welcome back. I am Paul on the ball, and this is Sports Desk. So we're talking horse racing. August Tuesday is in the air. It's horse racing. Along with me is the Public Relations Officer of the BVI Horse Owners Association, Mr. Roy Barry. Along with him, my main man, Roy Pickering. Yes, you did hear right. There are two Roys in the house. And we're going to talk about the actual day itself. There's 7 races on the track. We probably, what should we read it and let the PRO tell us about each race? What's the best way to do it?
What I'll suggest, I read the races one by one, and then Roy Pickering can dissect the race.
I like that.
From one, then he dissect the second one, because he is into horse racing.
That's why we have two Roys here, you see. So Roy Barry, off we go. PRO.
Give me the hardest job.
So I'll start with race number 1.
Sure.
It's the Allen Tiger Hodge Memorial Cup, sponsored by Colonial Insurance. We have 6 horses in this race: Remaestro Jr., Winning Actor, Mrs. to Pieces, Spotted Demon, Spirit on Fire, and Power 10. This is a Class D race, and it's run over 7 furlongs.
Okay, Pico, there's 5 horses in that race. There's 2 St. Thomas horses. How do you see that?
Actually, I got 6 horses.
6 is
one has been scratched. Actually, got 6 horses.
6 horses.
6 horses. Inside,
Mathematics isn't our strongest point, but we don't need to be there for horses.
No, Roy, give me the toughest job. If I had my scratch sheet, then I could do a lot better. What did I call the cut? But anyway, be that as it may, the 2 horses that I like in this race is one out of St. Thomas, which is Mrs. to Pieces. I think he's a regular, and then of course Remaestro. This is a Class D horse, and of course I like at the top of the program, Roy, it's named after Allen Tiger Hodge, is the memorial, and of course we all know who.
Absolutely.
He's going to be surely missed.
Yes,
and you know, to have the card start off in his name as a memorial, I think it's only fitting. So those are the 2 horses that I like, Mrs. Pieces out of St. Thomas, and of course the Remaestro. That would be my exact 1, 2.
Okay, so you're going for 1 St. Thomas and 1 BVI horse in that first race.
Yeah.
But look, I put Roy on the spot a bit here. Anything at all about Power 10? It is his debut. He's a local horse, am I correct?
Yeah. No, I can't say much on him because he has not run before.
So he's actually his actual first, debut, meaning even in the BVI, it's his first time running. So he's a full debutant, so you can come out and see Power 10 from the BVI actually defeating all these bigger horses and the horse has been around for a while.
Is he out the Power Pack stable, Roy?
Yeah. No, he's not.
No, okay.
But I think Spirit on Fire should make a good show in this race there. He ran maybe, I think about 3 races before, and I think he's ready now to really make a good showing on this race card.
Okay, so we're looking at Remaestro, also Mrs. for Pieces, did I get that right?
Yeah.
And also Spirit of Fire, who ran 3 races ago. That's race 1 for you. That is the Allen Tiger Hodge Memorial Cup. $4,500 added on that race, and it's 7 furlongs. Race number 2.
Race number 2 is the Monroe Thomas Memorial Cup, and is sponsored by the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports. This is a Class C race. It's run over 1 mile, and it's a $5,000 purse. The horses are New Carrier out of St. Thomas, Menone, Gaffalion, McG, and El Rojo out of St. Thomas.
Okay, so I'll get my maths right this time. It's got 5 horses pick out. You got that right?
It looks like
5 horses race. Pico, what's your pick? That's why we call you Pico, by the way.
Yeah. I think is I'm gonna ask you a little quick one. If Gaffalion returning after layoff?
A long layoff.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go a little sentimental here. I'm gonna go Gaffalion.
Nothing has changed then.
Nothing has changed. And of course, he you know, as a matter of fact, he was to do a little dissecting here.
Okay.
His performance was he was moving up in class. He was moving up in class
Okay.
based on his performance and the way he ran. So obviously, to be at this level, which is a Class C, I thought I would go with that would be my sole pick because he was moving up. So coming off a layoff, I'm gonna stay with Gaffleon.
Okay, Gaffleon, any pick for you there?
Oh,
Roy, on that?
Menone has been running real good. He's out of our LMB Racing Stables, and he should make a good showing also.
Okay, so that's Pickle?
Well, I'm gonna stick with Gaffleon. Minome, I know that's LNB, the famous Letty and Bob.
Okay, fine.
They got a big stable down there, Rastad, but you know I like my long shots.
Okay, so remind you about race 2. We have Gaffleon by Pickle. He is a sentimental pick by Roy Pickle Pickering, and Roy Barry has sort of put a mention on Menune. Also, he feels that might be a good horse. Again, we're just looking at horses generally here. Not specifically picking, but trying to give you an idea so that you yourselves can also pick horses. That's race 2. It's a Class C classic, and it is the Monroe Thomas Memorial Cup. So that is race 2. On to race 3. Roy Barry, back to you.
Race 3 is Tessa Guntner Mare and Fillies Classic. As we all know, Tessa has been the first female jockey around here in the BVI, and this race is sponsored by the Honorable J. Alvin Christopher and Honorable Irene Penn O'Neill.
Oh, good.
It's an open mare and filly race, ran over 7 furlongs, and the purse is $6,500. The first horse in this race is Tiger's Mischief, second Glorious Memory, third Natural Consorto, and fourth and last Rocky Miss Rocky out of St. Thomas.
Okay, 4 horses in that one, Pickle. What's your pick?
Roy, got a little quick question. Was Tiger Mischief, he got away from the trainer or the handlers the last time?
The jockey
The jockey fell and he got away and run around a track. Okay, listening to the pundits, apparently he was primed to put on a good show.
Right.
So because he got away, as a matter of fact, he still ran and he didn't do too bad. So in essence, he really ran, he ran 2 races, that day.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick with Tiger's Mischief.
Okay, Tiger's Mischief for that's Tiger's Mischief for Roy Pickle Pickering. What about you, Roy?
I love Tiger's Mischief.
Okay, so we have it's a full house here. I'm gonna stick with Tiger's Mischief too, as the guys in there. Because of course I'm just back, so I'm still learning all the horses. But Tiger's Mischief in race 3, that's the Tessa Gunter Mares and Fillies. It's 7 furlongs. Is that 5,500 added or 6,500 on that one? Roy Barry.
6,500.
6,500 on that one. So there's good money on that for the young mares and fillies, which is really good to see. And we'll go on to race number 4. Back to you, Roy.
Race number 4 is the Tourist Board Classic, sponsored by BVI Tourist Board, and this is a speed race, 6.5 furlongs, and it's $6,500.
Oh, okay, this is always a race favorite. People love to see the fast races pick up. I'm really keen to hear who you're going to pick on this one.
But you know, I'm going to go with a name here. I'm going really uptown.
Okay.
Really uptown because 2 of them is making a debut and one coming out of St. Thomas.
Okay.
So I'm going to stay with the uptown.
Okay.
Against St. Thomas.
Okay, we have it's Nata Pike, Really Uptown, and Starship Voyage. Nata Pike comes out of Fishbay Stables.
Okay.
And as we know, they are the owners of Traveland. So Nata Pike, I've not seen him run before, but I expect a good showing from him. Really Uptown made his debut in St. Thomas last race day, on July 2nd, I think it was, and he won right at the line. He won his race.
Okay, so Really Uptown has just only recently made his debut
In St. Thomas.
in St. Thomas. So this is his debut in the BVI now.
Yeah.
And how did he do there?
He won.
He won.
Yeah.
Okay,
he's out of LMB Racing Stable.
Out of LMB race station. So that is the Tourist Board Classic. $6,500 added, some good money in that. So you know, Pico is going uptown. Starship Voyage, and he's going to add something to it now. Go on,
Roy should have given me a little hint.
Oh, yeah.
How can I go against Special Stable? But I'm going to stay here anyway.
Okay, and so
I heard that's about the horse. Yeah.
Roy wanted to go with Traveland Stable, but it's too late now, so he's staying with Starship. Roy is saying, have a look out for Northern Pike. It's his debut. He is out of Traveland Stable, so he's going to be trouble. That's race number 4. On to race number 5. Back to you, Roy.
Okay, race number 5 is the Ellis Thomas Classic, and it's sponsored by the Honorable Julian Fraser. It's a Class B and C race, 7 furlong, and it's $5,500. We have Moonlight Event, Kundan out of St. Thomas, Old Town out of St. Thomas, and Eastern Seaboard out of St. Thomas.
Okay, Pico, over to you. There is one horse uptown in here again. I keep my eye on you, you know.
Well, he got a name favorite of mine on his when they announced that Kundan.
Kundan.
I'm going with Kundan.
Okay,
I stick with Kundan. You're not going to give me half a Kundan. When Archie's announcing the race, Kundan, I stay with Kundan.
You stay with Kundan.
Yeah.
And have you seen him Kundan run before?
Yeah, Kundan used to be, this is a class B and C. So as a matter of fact, he was moving up in class, but he sort of being a little inconsistent.
Okay.
And what's not. So I think he should make a good showing between these two levels here, B and C. I don't have any qualm with staying with Kundan.
Okay, Kundan or St. Thomas. What about you, Roy? Anything for you?
Moonlight Event is a strong finisher.
Okay.
Very strong finisher. He belongs to Power.
Oh, it's Power. Oh.
Yeah, and he finishes very strong. So it's going to be a good race between him and Kundan on the home stretch.
Okay.
So the Ellis Thomas Classic sounds like it's going to be a real classic. It's going to come down to the wire, what we're hearing here. It looks like we are suggesting it could be between Moonlight Event. He is out of Power stable, and Power always comes something powerful. Because Power is a powerful fella.
Yeah.
And along with him is Kundan. Kundan, again, is one of those horses. How you refer to him as Pico, as one of those temperamental horses. Temperamental, so anything could happen. So that's race number 5, and that's $5,500 added. We're going on to race 6. Hey, it's the Premier's Cup. This is the big one.
Race 6 is the big race. The Premier Cup, sponsored by Premier's Office. It's a 1.8 miles, and it's $20,000.
Wow.
We have Diablo's Fire out of St. Amos, Good Prospecting, Travelan, Voice of Faith out of St. Amos, and Lake Texoma.
Okay, before I get to pick on this one, Roy, quick question. $20,000 added. Is that one of the biggest purses we've had for the Premier's Cup?
Last year, I think it was $23,000.
So it's pretty much close to one of the largest cups we've had. Yeah. So this is really, they're offering a lot of money, $20,000. As Roy was suggesting before, if they could afford to offer $20,000 for every single race, for at least at that level, it would be really worth it, and you could make your money back every time.
That's definitely true.
Over to you, Pico.
Let me ask Roy a question. Is this, you mentioned last time it was 23. Was it because it was an added purse, whereas the owners, the owners occasionally throwing something to say, well, okay, we betting among ourselves or against each other, and it become added money?
It was 23 because last year we had the Delta Cup, which was 20,000.
Ah,
so that's why we moved.
Okay, of course, this year we don't have the Delta Cup. So actually, in fact, without the Delta Cup, we're actually offering $20,000, and that is very, very good. That's quite impressive.
Additionally, if the owners want to put up money to say, well, okay, we have a bet among ourselves, then it will become added purse.
And
so it could go up.
I believe that there might be some added monies here.
Okay.
To this race. The races with the asterisk might have some added money.
Okay, all right. Okay, so pick over to you.
I had a good question.
Excellent
question.
Well,
I could go blind here and travel on.
I should have had you pick last, Pico.
Yeah, you should have me pick last.
But so you're cheating. That's cheating.
Yeah, well, you call that cheating. But I got to stay home this time. Travel on. So, and the last race, and what I would also say though, less more, as we would like to call it. Yeah, less more. I think he's going to be a lot better prepared for this race. So we should see a better showing.
All right.
So although I'm going with Travelan, either way, whether he's performing or not, when we meet up, we do a little trash talk and what's not.
Okay. What I'm going to do is let Roy have a pick on where he thinks, and then let's talk a bit about these horses individually, because this is a big race.
This race is going to be a very good race. And
I can see it.
Travelan has been running real good, especially on Tartola. He has had some bad luck in St. Amos for reasons unknown. But on Tartola, he runs real strong. He runs on the front end and he runs on the back end.
Wow.
So he can go out on the front and he finishes real strong. And I think he's going to do a real good day. He's going to have a very good race on August Tuesday. But you also have to look at Diablo's Fire and Good Prospecting.
Okay, this is what I want to do now. Just a quick thing. Do you think that Travelon is going to come from behind this time or in front? Is there like different weather he does what, or he just how he wakes up on the day?
No, he runs on the front end. He can run on the front end. Well, not actually out front, but close to the front runner from beginning to end. And on the home stretch, he just makes his move.
So he's a bit like expectation then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a very important question. You see, a race like that, the question that you posed to Roy, sometimes it has to do with how the horses that are in the race.
Right.
Let's say, for an example, if the speed in this race might be Lake Texoma.
Okay.
So the trainers and the handlers of Travelon will decide if they're going to let him go. We're going to go with him and we're going to sit off. And also, as Roy mentioned, because Diablo Fire is a good closer, and then you're going to have Lesmore in between. So this is the Premier Cup. This is the classic of the features. And sometimes it'll come down to a cat and mouse game with the jockeys and so on. Once they get out there and they see when the gate busts, depending on how the race develop, who wants to go, some might take back and some might go. Okay. So that's the question that you pose, and the one is an interested one, but you never know how it's going to develop. Now, some horses have what we call lightning speed.
Yes.
Once the gate open, they're gone. And you know them, like Grass Creek.
Yes.
Okay. Once the gate, if Grass Creek is there, once the gate was open, he's gone, because that's his running style.
Sure.
But there's no Grass Creek here, so you got to find out who's the Grass Creek in this race and how it's going to develop.
Okay. Let's analyze the race from horse to horse. Let's go from Diablo Fire. Diablo Fire, you say he's a closer, so you're suggesting what?
I would suggest, I believe Diablo's Fire are going to sit in the middle of the pack, between third and fourth. And then the jockeys will be eyeing each other, cat and mouse, like I said. But like you say, individually, I think he's going to be in the middle of the pack.
Okay, a lot of people don't know when you say Lesmore. Explain when you
his horse, good prospecting.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, for the listening public, that's why I asked you.
Right,
so when he said refer to Lesmore, he's referring to good prospecting when he said Lesmore.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about Lesmore and good prospecting. What do you reckon?
Well, the last time he was up front early, which is apparently not his running style.
Right.
So I don't know if that had to do because of the horses that was in the race, because St. Damas for the Governor's Cup.
Yes.
Remember, he's the Governor's Cup champ.
Sure, of course.
So he came off the pace. He came off the pace, and this time here he was up front with the pace. And as Roy said, Travelon, we say horses for courses.
Yes.
Okay. He likes the Tola track, like Borcham used to like St. Damas track.
Yes.
He likes St. Damas track. So again, depending on how the race develop, and they say, well, okay, we're going to push button. If there's no speed in the race, they go. Okay?
Yes.
So they're going to have to play come and catch me.
Sure.
Okay?
Roy, what about you? What do you think Good Prospecting is going to do on the day?
I think he's going to sit somewhere in the middle of the pack, and he'll try and make a move.
So you're agreeing with
Maybe.
Pico?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Travelon, I think we've spoken about already. He's a bit of a sitter, more close to the front, you're saying, Roy?
Yeah, he has the ability to go front, or he can sit off
at the back.
Yeah,
so he's going to be exciting anyway.
He's versatile.
Okay, good. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
versatile.
like he's versatile. Like Aki, if he's behind, he's coming up.
He's coming.
He's coming for you. All right. Voice of Faith.
Voice of Faith. He sits way in the back.
Wow.
He's at the beginning of the race. You will think that he's not in the race with the other horses.
Okay.
But when it comes to closing time, he is going to give you a very good run.
A very good closer. Pico, do you agree with that?
Well, as a matter of fact, Roy, I stand to be corrected. He didn't close the gap on Travelon in the last race, or was he in that race?
Yes, he did. He did.
And he closed.
Yeah, when he ran by Good Prospecting.
Yeah. Now again, along those comments along that line, if he got good speed up front, it doesn't matter whether he's 10, 15 lengths off, because we have a tendency here in the island to say if you're in close to the pace, you can win the race.
Right.
But if let's say for discussion, if Lake Texoma go and Travelon say they want to go at each other, that means the fraction that's going to be up in front and what's not, they're going to set up for a Voice of Faith kind of running style. And that's why you got to be careful with.
I see. So they might run a race and give the race to Voice of Faith in the end.
And then,
not purposely, but obviously because they're fighting with each other.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a very interesting race.
Remember the year with Landon Craft?
Very much so.
Tiger again.
Very much so.
He was keep drizzling and drizzling and drizzling and drizzling.
Yes.
The course of the track, right, was changing all the time. And all those things we don't take in consideration, but it do happen, because some horses like certain tracks based on certain condition.
Yes.
And as the race was developing, Landon Craft keep closing.
I'm glad you mentioned
and
that.
The rest is history.
Yes.
That's when Tiger roll over and you close and so on.
Yes.
So those things could happen.
So in other words, Roy, on a rainy day, it could be a totally different race. Would that affect Travelon if it's a rainy day?
I honestly can't say. I've never seen him run on a wet track before.
So if it's a rainy day, we could say a totally different Travelon.
Well, what I could tell you, he got good blind line. But his breeding doesn't suggest that he likes a slap.
Okay.
But the fact that he hasn't run in it before, you never can tell. Because in the slap or a muddy track, as we like to say, if it rains, it tends to favor the horse who go up front.
Right.
Because he throw mud in everybody and save. And he gone. So he skid on top of the water like, you know what.
Now, on top of all of this confusion, there's also, we haven't even spoken about Lake Texoma, who is no run over either. Let's talk about Lake Texoma.
Lake Texoma is something like a, what you call the horse for Shaka again? The speed horse.
The speed horse. Oh, Grass Creek.
Grass Creek.
Grass Creek.
He comes out the gate and he can go.
Oh,
yeah.
So
but recently he has been having some health issues. I'm not sure where he's at now.
Okay.
But if he's healthy, he can go.
So
and if nobody goes with him, he can still race.
So he is a horse that will be throwing the dirt in everybody else's face and going ahead if it's a rainy day.
If it's a rainy day.
So the suggestion is that if it's a rainy day, it could work in the favor of Lake Texoma. That's the Premier's Cup. It's a mile and 1/8, $20,000 added on that. Listen, I don't want to miss that one at all.
Well, I tell you what, because our track is so designed, rain doesn't mean it's going to come up sloppy. It takes a lot of rain to make the track sloppy.
Yes.
So just rain in itself would cause a dampen different variation of the track.
Configuration.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're trying to say, if it rained to the point that it changed the track bias,
Yes.
that's when you got to work Lake Texoma.
Okay.
Because he could get out of the gate and he go. Okay. Whereas Travelon and others, we got to sit off. So that's where the track bias is going to make a difference.
Well, pick a rain or no rain, the people ain't going to leave until the Premier's Cup is run. We know that for sure. We know that for sure.
That's the one that comes to see.
That's the one that comes to see. Okay, let's talk about the fan race of the day. It's the CCT Classic. It's a mile and 1/16. Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, the final race of the day is CCT Classic, sponsored by CCT Global Communication. And this race is a very interesting race, even though it's only 3 horses. It's a 1 mile race for $7,250. We have All Country, Some Splendor, and Square One. And these 3 horses are equally matched.
Okay.
All Country is from LMB Racing Stables, Some Splendor is from St. and Square One is from Top Priority Racing Stables, which is Lesmo Smith.
Okay.
And if I may add,
sure, go ahead.
Square One is a horse that runs very well on our racetrack, but he doesn't like the St. Thomas track. He runs totally different than St. Thomas racetrack.
Question, the purse is quite high at 7,000. It's the second highest purse I'm looking at there. How come that purse is so high on that one?
Because these are just a notch below the horses in the Premier Cup.
Okay, good for the people to know. So that in other words, then the CC Classic is, right after the Premier's Cup. This is another huge race. Let's analyze the 3 horses, Pico.
Well, Roy, you mentioned is a mile, but I thought I saw a mile in a 16.
Okay, you have a different.
Okay,
so it's a mile.
sorry.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, and again, the question you was posing to Roy is that it's open.
Yes.
So these horses, if the gate wasn't full, some of them could move up in class or not, as Roy mentioned. But I'm going to go here with Square One in this one. As Roy alluded to, he doesn't like St. Thomas track, but he likes this track here.
Okay.
And coming from
Top Priority Stable.
Top Priority Stable, those guys, they do a pretty good job. And you also got to consider when they got a horse in the race, once he's ready to go, then boy, go with him.
Okay, Roy?
I tend to like Square One in this race too, but All Country has been running consistent here and in St. Thomas.
Okay.
Some Splendor, this is his debut on Tortola.
Okay,
He has been running with the top horses on St. Thomas and St. Croix, but recently he has been somewhat on a downturn. Okay. So we're not sure what to expect out of him coming to Tortola.
Right. So really and truly, all being well, it should really be between Square One and All Country.
That's correct.
That's what we're looking at. Of course, we're not going to count out Splendor Some, but we're saying that it's looking more like a 1-2 BVI there.
Well, we used to like to say if Secretariat and Seattle could get beat, anybody could get beat. So.
Okay,
so
we're running out of time now. So before we close off, I want to talk about something which has always fascinated me in horse racing. Guys, it's all about the weight. There's a weight thing. I've seen jockeys have to go and change their weight and think. What's all this weight thing about, Roy, with the jockeys?
Well, you have specific weights that the jockey must meet in order to be race ready. Recently, they have been increasing the rate, the weight. I think it's up to about 123 now in the USA.
Okay.
Because jockeys have problems meeting the weight. They have to go in a sweat room and drop weight at the last minute. Sometimes it's unhealthy.
Yes.
So they have increased the weight some. But you have to meet a specific weight so the horse can be effective on a race day. If you're too heavy, the horse is going to be very low.
Right. So in other words, then every single jockey should be around a certain weight.
Yes.
Okay. Let's for argument's sake, let's have a look at race 7, the CCT Classic. Would you know offhand what weight a jockey should be in there, or is that too technical a question?
Well, most professional jockeys will come in weighing about 110 to 115 at tops.
Okay, wow. That's
when you put your clothes on and stuff, now you have to meet this weight here. With your clothes and the saddle. That's where you meet this weight.
115 pounds.
So they come in,
These are little fellas. What height are the jockeys usually at? 4 foot none?
4'9", 5'1", 5'2".
I mean, Pico would look like a giant compared to these guys.
Oh yeah, man. I meet him all the time. But as Roy made a good point, and I think he said 123, but keep in mind some of this is saddle weight.
Yes.
Okay? And if you find a jockey who could maintain his weight at 110, he's going to get a lot of mounts, because with the lead pads, which is considered to be dead weight. Okay? And also, additionally, you find that some jockeys are retiring pretty early in their career because they can't meet that weight.
Sure.
So that yes, it is true that they have increased the number of the pounds just to accommodate the jockeys and so on. So in retrospect, sometimes the jockeys are around the same weight that is listed on the program. Only you will have to take the saddle in consideration and so on, but they're basically the same weight. So that would be without the leather pad.
All right, I'm going to do a pickle here and throw a spoke in the wheel here. And ask a question about, I was just going to come and ask about, you know, it's totally crossed my mind here now. It's going to come back to me in a minute. But as pickle was going on there, I was thinking about the other aspect of weight with the jockeys, but it's gone from me here now. I should have written it down. But let's get back to Roy there. Roy, in closing off, tell us a bit what you want to say to the public. You know, tell the public, you know, what can they expect on race day, and what the Horse Owners Association would like to get from there.
Okay. Before I get to that, I just want to make mention of our sponsors for the race day. We have the Honorable Premier Ralph T. O'Neill and the Premier's office, the Honorable Julian Fraser, Honorable Andrew Foy, Ministry of Communication and Works, CCT Global Communications, the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports, Colonial Insurance, Honorable J. Alvin Christopher, Honorable Irene Penn O'Neill, BVI Tourist Board, Honorable Vincent Scatliff, Virgin Islands News Online, Honorable Elvis Harrigan, James Stadman Construction, Department of Agriculture, and Essential Boutique. These are our sponsors. What I would like to say to the general public now is that we invite you out to the races on August Tuesday. This is one of our big days where you can come out and enjoy the races, as well as we're going to have a high heel competition with 3.5-inch up heels. Anybody wanting to enter this race must be able to present a wristband which shows that you're paid to enter the racetrack on that day. And rules will be given on site. So ladies, come out with your high heels and be prepared to participate in the high heel competition. Our races begin at 1:30 p.m. Entertainment is going to be by Showtime HD.
I was gonna say Pico could probably be part of the high heel, but he won't qualify because he has to pay to go in. Pico, any final words of you?
Well, again, you know, this is our traditional August Tuesday, and it's one of the highlights of our annual Emancipation festivities. We look forward to it. After the parade, everybody heads towards Chicago to talk about it, and that's one of the highlights. So. The race car that is here, 7 exciting races, obviously is going to be good entertainment, and we look forward to it. And of course, you know, like I say, it's one of the day we do a lot of, you're going to hear the hype before the day, you know, a lot of talking and what's that. So we look forward to it, and of course, it's nice to be here with you as well.
Always good. Well, I'm going to wear my high heels if Pico's not going to wear his. Let me remind you of the big race, the Premier's Cup. It's $20,000 and it's a mile and 1/8, right? Correct, Barry?
That's correct.
Diablo Fire. It's good prospecting. Travel on. He's the favorite. Voice of Faith, Lake Taxona. Hey, I am Paul on the ball. You've been listening to Sports Desk. Good sports, and you, as Pico would say. See you soon.